Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Tooele Happy Hour with Jared Anderson and David Weiss. Our guest tonight, Kist North of Utah Patriots. If head trauma had a podcast, this is what it would look like.
I have to say, Dave did reach out to him. What's the guy's name?
Brian something.
Yeah, reached out to him to see if he would come on, and he said he only talks to legitimate media. So,
isn't that incredible? Because he texted me, and I have copies of the text, and he wanted to interview me. So I guess I'm credible, and you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens, Kish.
Yep.
We'll just have to live with it.
I'm about as credible as a dead man for 100 years. I don't even know what he just wants to take our information and spin it, right? Like CNN.
That's what he lives for.
We're in a weird polarized world right now.
Yeah.
There's an appropriate message, and if you're not a part of that appropriate message, then you should be shunned or ousted or, a pauper on the street. The Orwell wrote about this, and I don't know. My message to those people who like this message is, eventually it boils down to where even your idea isn't acceptable. And then there's no one there fighting for you. So, yeah,
it's, if you ask, it depends who you ask, right? Some people, and this, 2-3 years ago, there's people in our group that just said, we're just going to stay at home and prepare. We don't think we can change anything, right? It's too late almost. A lot of people feel that way. Then you get a lot of people that just, in this community, the Christian community, just as we talked before, just get their heads in the sand and they don't want to even deal with it, right? They think everything's well in Zion. And you got a small group of us. We're trying to get to the 3% that are willing to fight and make the change. If that's what you got. You got 3 different people. And then you got Brian Schatz and those kind of people that are here trying to push their agenda and change the world, right? The evolution of the world, society.
Yeah, it's I don't know, is revolution the right word when you want to be the controlling factor on humanity? It's I don't know. It is what it is. Not a lot can be done about it.
And even if you do something about it, then what? You got a power vacuum and something fills that, and here we go again. If it's not one lizard man, it's another one.
A lizard.
I know, but if I'm hearing you right, I mean, I'm glad they didn't do that way back when we had to fight the British and get our country, right? I mean, they didn't lay down and say, if we beat them, the vacuum's got to take place. Well, the vacuum took place and good people stepped up. So revolution, is that what we're in store for? I believe, yes. I believe that's going to have to happen. I truly believe it's going to have to happen. Problem is, we don't have enough people saying it's going to happen, right? We don't have enough people that are willing to stand up and take our country back. We don't.
One of Google's top searches after Biden's speech 2 weeks ago was Civil War.
Yeah.
I'll say this, though. You know what the best thing about not having enough people to stand up and take your country back? You want to know what the best thing about that is?
What's that?
That if you secede from your country, there's probably also not enough people willing to stand up and march upon you to reabsorb that secession.
Maybe. I don't know. I wonder how the Confederates perceive that in, 1850.
Well, do you guys agree, though, that, I mean, how a revolution happened back then is different than how a revolution would happen today?
So much more, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
go ahead. We're in 5th generational warfare. When they're coming after your banks, when they're coming after your means to have financial support, we're in it. It's a warfare that's not fought on a battlefield. It's a warfare that's fought on the internet. And we may
Yeah,
be
I mean,
looking, this may be our future of warfare on the global scale.
well, I don't know if you can fight on the internet when the globalists own the internet, right? Between the FBI, the CIA, the DOJ, the government, there's not a face to those people. You're right. You just can't grab arms and go fight those people. There's no one really to fight. And going on the internet, look at the last president. They just cut him off. I mean, it's not hard to cut off. Look what happened with Brian, with the trucking guys up in Canada, and those guys, when they donated money, they just went in and took their bank accounts.
Yeah.
I mean, are we really that free of a country? Seriously, are we really that free when they can just flip a switch and take your money?
Well,
Or-
I got to step in here and say something. You ever see an animal try to cross the road at night when you're coming at it, and then it decides to go the other way, and then comes back, and then you hit it? Sometimes I feel like people are like that when it comes to their freedoms. I mean, I'm going to say it. I mean, you don't have to worry about banks shutting you off if you're using Bitcoin. But
We've gone over this.
but
Yes, but where do you spend your Bitcoin at?
hey,
How
look,
do you put food on the table?
it's easier
how do
to
you-
come together as a people and say, let's do something different than what the government's trying to force upon us, than to just accept the raping and lay down.
I look, in a way, I agree. Though, can the government's hands be kept off your Bitcoin?
Yes, easily.
I don't know.
Unless they turn off the internet.
I don't know. But how do you pay your bills? How do you pay your house payment? How do you pay your mortgage? How do you buy food right now with Bitcoin?
Can't. And I got to say something about Bitcoin. I mean, I'm an older generation than you guys, but I still don't understand Bitcoin. I know it's a place I could put money and try to make money, but it went down recently, and I got friends that do it. But I don't think the majority of Americans understand what Bitcoin is. I don't think they do. That's another problem, right? The
There's-
understanding what Bitcoin is.
There's a lot to it. Let's say we tried to do a universal flip over into Bitcoin next month, right? Step one, the nation's economy collapses. That's step one. Probably at least a year to climb out of that. And then step two, what happens with everything that's tied into 401ks and all that other stuff? It has to be, the only way we can switch over to it is, of course, to get some kind of exchange that we can trade it for usable and durable goods. And that isn't there right now. I can't, let's go hardcore with it. I can't buy ammo with Bitcoin right now. I could probably buy it somewhere online, maybe behind, a couple shady firewalls. But what if I'm in a pinch?
There are a few ammo stores that'll take Bitcoin.
Yeah, how long till the ammo gets to me?
Oh, I don't know.
That's right.
How long does the mail take? I don't know.
But right now, with the noted currency of our nation, I can go down to the store and get ammo right now.
Right. And that's a personal choice. I'm just
But
saying, like, as a people's, the doorway to freedom is not always easily opened, but it is there.
It's true. But also, our currency could be a sound currency if we held our politicians' feet to the fire.
It's impossible, Jared, because it's not our currency.
Well,
It belongs to the lizard people.
That's
not
because
us.
You think Bitcoin doesn't?
No, Bitcoin is owned by whoever possesses it.
But again, it's our Congress that makes currency by Constitution. How's our Congress doing on enforcing that? How are we doing on enforcing our Congress to enforce that?
Hey, there you go. I mean, that pretty much answers the whole question to the equation.
So
I
we
mean,
would go to Bitcoin, we'd be in the same mix.
El Salvador seems to be floating.
El Salvador's gone, what, how many months now?
Right. Okay. And
Okay, let me jump in here. There's a lot of ifs out there, right? I heard in all this conversation, if. There's so many ifs. With Utah Patriots, I deal with a lot of people, even myself, that are very, and I don't mean this derogatory, we're simple. we feel that, and a lot of people I talk to need to take this in increments of small bites, meaning a 4 or 5 pronged attack is what we're trying to do at Utah Patriots. I run another group called Utah Patriots Rapid Response Team, and what that's doing is growing on a spiritual plane. Are you ready spiritually? Whatever religion, whoever you believe in, are you ready spiritually as a family? Are you ready monetarily? Do you have a few bucks put away outside of the bank? Do you have your ammo and your guns prepared? Do you know how to use them? Are you prepared to use them? Do you have your food storage? Do you have water? It's a 5-pronged approach we're taking so we can be ready to help the community and our immediate community and our families. So, there's so much going on in our country that I can't battle Biden. I can't battle what's going on at the border with buses going up to Martha's Vineyard and this guy sending people this way and the meth and all that stuff that's coming over, the child trafficking. I can't even deal with what's going on with Governor Cox and his, it's a family-friendly show. His bull crap he's putting on here in Utah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it can be really overwhelming, guys. You know that. I mean, you guys aren't short of any conversation on your podcast. There's so many things to talk about, right? So I try to back it up and go, what is the most pressing thing for a family in Utah that they have to prepare for? What is it?
Right now, food.
I mean, we barely got through the fact that the railroads signed a document, I think, and postponed the.
Just postponed.
It's
so not a
that's
permanent
scary.
Fix.
I don't think people realize what would happen. We got guys in our rapid response team that work on the train yards, and they're like, "Dude, if this thing stops, Kish, it stops." They stopped picking up grain on Wednesday and putting it in the trailers and the transports of the trains because they didn't want it sitting in storage that long because it would have gone rotten. So could you imagine if that shut down for a week or 2 weeks? Think about what these trains haul. So it's just they just kicked the can down the road. And this is something, what did Biden say? Biden's tweeted some stupid comment about, wow, it's good for our country. This is good negotiating skills. That guy is so ludicrous. It's unbelievable.
It's a sickness. He's probably mentally ill with some sort of dementia, and it is what it is.
And this rail thing has been building up for damn near a decade now. I don't know.
I mean, if it's not this, it's going to be something else. You watch, in a week or 2 weeks, it'll just be something else. So what can we do as Utahns and Patriot families is get together and be prepared. That's my new motto. I got to be prepared. I got to prepare my family. Some of the guys are like, well, you were talking about trading systems and cryptocurrency, stuff like that. You know what trades? Alcohol, tobacco, bullets. They're all tradable items, right?
I wouldn't know about any of those things, but yeah.
That's all tradable items,
Yeah.
For
the ATF and the what is it? What's the Utah's new designation for the liquor store?
Oh man, services.
Yeah,
special services.
Yeah, something communist, People's Democratic Republic of Liquor in Utah, whatever it is. I don't know anything about that stuff, guys.
Yeah. So there's some big concerns right in front of us,
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, I mean, I don't, like we're talking about, I don't think the revolution is going to be fought necessarily with putting on your vest and guns and going out on the street. That's not the revolution now. It's fought in a different way.
Yeah. I do think if it does come to where masses of people are trading lead with each other, it's no longer a revolution. We're looking at a civilizational collapse.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've been in the real estate insurance business for 25 years. So I've been through several collapses and I've seen them.
Oh, no. I'm talking collapse like Rome or the.
No, I get that. I'm just rolling into some things in my marketplace, my vertical. What I'm seeing is there is a big housing crunch coming. They think there's a demand for houses. the writings on the wall. You've got commercial buildings. So a lot of our people are in real estate, right? They were loan officers. Loan officers are all but gone. 80% of the country's already refinanced at 3% or less. So that vacuum, as you said, is gone. There's nothing there to replace it, right? So where are people moving their money? Things are shifting very quickly. In November, there were 2,000 homes on the market in Utah. 60 days ago, there was 10,000 homes on the market. I haven't looked today, but my guess is closer to 13,000 homes on the market. So
I'm sure, yeah.
It's huge now. And now you can't qualify. The same homes that were being built, you qualified at 2.5%. You can't qualify at 5.5%. So it's coming. People are like, "Oh, the market's good." Market's terrible. Wait and see.
So you think it's all going to like implode on each other, and the housing is going to actually come back to some normal price, or what?
I don't think it'll come back to a normal price. I think you're going to see a collapse in the nation. I think you're going to see. I deal with a lot of people that have defaulted mortgages. They're called foreclosures. Foreclosures are up 113% from last year. Yeah, 113. I saw that article on LinkedIn. So it's coming, and that's called shadow inventory. So with the new feds and all those rules, they kind of hold it back because you can't flood the marketplace with foreclosures. It's just people get freaked out. So they trickle them out. So it's coming.
So the Fed and the banks hang on to them and let them go a little bit at a time, so it doesn't have that. You don't have a hockey stick on the next. I don't know. In the Army, it would have been a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know what banks use. Probably something better than PowerPoint, but yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know all the laws and rules, but for every dollar a bank lends out, they need to have so much in reserves. Right?
Used to, but yeah, it's 10%. It's fractional reserve banking.
Theoretically, it was 10%.
Well, what happens now is when the default happened in 2008, it went from $3 to 10 per one, and now it's going to go up again. So we could spend hours. You guys talk about this all the time, but you've got problems. You got a housing issue, residential. You have a commercial issue right now because everyone went home with COVID, and then companies realized they can keep their people at home. And you have just go up the 15 freeway. There's signs everywhere of office space for lease. So you've got a lot of empty space, and you still have commercial developments going because the permits have been in play for 2 years. So it hasn't kind of caught up with itself. So it's coming. It's just now what they're doing is trying to convert commercial and trying to change the zoning so you can sell them, right? Before they used to be leasing out space, they changed the zoning so then you can sell that space as real estate, get its own APN number, all that stuff. So they're trying to drastically change quickly. So
and that'll put bad pressure on the housing side of it. You can't put a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound.
Can't. So you got that issue. You got the border issue, which is huge. The Americans don't believe it, but it's huge. You got a fentanyl and drug issue we know about. You got child sex trafficking issue. You got election integrity issues, not only in Utah, but nationwide. You've got a vote coming up. You got monkeypox, COVID coming up again. It's all going to happen. I mean,
Dave has been awful concerned about monkeypox. I don't know why.
They told me I shouldn't have more. They told me I shouldn't have sex with more than 10 people at once.
More than 10 people at once
of the same gender.
So
I stay away from doing that. Man,
well, I think the guys will be disappointed.
Just dip him in white chocolate and throw him into the dance club.
So I'd hate to be doom and gloom, but there is a doom and gloom out there. We need to make sure that we call upon the heavens above or who you pray to get through this. But you better be prepared. You better have some answers and some ways to go about it. I mean, I've got people in the industry that they've laid off tens of thousands of people in the mortgage business. Tens of thousands. Companies shut down overnight. They're getting so drastic. It was a B of A or Citi just passed a new loan only to blacks and Hispanics, 0% interest rate loans. So
wait. Say that one more time, Kish.
Bank of America set up a new loan program that was for for minority people
No, black and Hispanic only.
Yeah.
Said if you Google. Well, there's other minority groups, but
that is a good point, but not according to those two minority groups.
Are Brazilians Latino according to Bank America?
Oh shit.
Right?
Oh shit, Dave.
Damn, I'm good looking at a gold mine.
There you go.
So that's redlining and racism all in one, and 0%. Low. 0% interest introduction and no closing costs. 100% financing. It's quite terrible. Check out this new loan. I don't know if your listeners follow mortgages. This just came out on LinkedIn. It is a non-QM. Non-QM means a non-qualified loan, meaning you can't get it with. You use bank statements, not paycheck stubs. That's called a non-QM loan, right? So you're self-employed typically. It's a 7-year loan, interest only. So you're only paying interest for 7 years. We used to call those bullet loans, meaning after 7 years, it's full payment, right?
Yeah, that's like the adjustable rate mortgages.
Well, that's like a NAGAM loan almost, right? So if it's 7% interest rate or 6% today, you're only going to pay interest only at like 4% for 7 years, and all of a sudden, bam, it moves up. So they're coming out with that now. This is all reminder of what happened in 06, 7, and 8. It was terrible. So they're just trying to create more cash flow in that business, in that space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because banks are tightening up, banks are getting out of the business. Banks stop lending.
Yeah.
Now a void does happen. Like you said, when a vacuum happens, someone steps in. So this is what's stepping in. Banks have gone away from the non-QM, and another bank says, well, we'll do it, but we're only going to do interest only for 7 years.
That's an interesting one. Interest only for 7 years. So let's say you got a $400,000 loan on a 30-year time frame. The interest on that would be what? $650, $700 a month? I don't know the math on that, but around there, right?
No. How it works is non-QM typically in Utah are going to be $700,000 loans, right? They're going to be big, not going to be conforming. Conforming sits under a certain number.
So now if you're starting a business, this is a good loan to get on while you get your feet under you as a business. If you're getting a loan for a business purpose, this would be a good one to get on because you got 7 years to make the business work.
We're talking residential loan. We're not talking a business loan. So it's a residential. You're buying a house and you don't have a paycheck stub. You're self-employed, so you got to use bank statements. So you qualify through your bank statements, and if it's an $800,000 loan, I don't have my mortgage calculator up, but an $800,000 loan, let's say 6%, you're going to pay $4,500 a month in payment. Well, remember, in a 30-year mortgage, it's front-end loaded. So the first 20 years is 98% interest for the month, right? I don't know how they calculate it, but you're going to pay interest only. They might amortize it. It's called a Section 40 or something, how they move it. But you're going to be paying interest only for the first 7 years. I don't know how they're factoring the interest. I don't know if they're leveling it out over the 40 years or whatever they're doing. But my point is they're just trying to get people into the homes from banks that have walked away from lending to those homes. Does that make sense? It's that vacuum that was created and someone else pops in there.
And then the housing market crashes. And behind that, the construction market crashes.
But if you're black or Latino, you're going to do good.
Maybe, but if the housing market crashes, right now, if you're looking for a home, early next year, maybe mid next year might be a good time to look, but
some people might think so, but if you believe what I believe and it's going to come down, I don't think the time's to buy now. You wait.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You don't chase the market, though. But, you got homes in my community. 2 months ago, I saw one for sale sign. I go down the street a mile, I see 10 for sale signs.
I know, right?
So there's more and more houses in the marketplace, and there's opportunity out there. Now, some parts of the country are different, right? I know in Indiana, it's a hot market still, right? Because you can still buy a house in Indiana for $150,000. Same house that would cost you $600,000 here.
Well, the question is, how's Indiana's
economy
doing? Because I know of just in, the circles I run in, 5 guys that fled Indiana over the last 15 years because that place has been crap.
Well, I mean, if you don't mind selling meth and heroin and stuff like that, it's a great state to live in.
You know,
I'm just kidding.
hey, I mean, yeah, there's some perks to it.
Do they have gun rights in Indiana?
Yeah, I think Indiana's not as good as we are, but they
have gun rights. They got gun rights. So it just depends where you're at, right? I just feel there's a change in it. I'm seeing a lot of people finding defaulted mortgages. So having your house and making sure you make your mortgage payment stuff. But I'll leave this subject on this. If you buy a house with 100% financing today for $500,000, and a year from now the market starts crashing and that house now is worth $350,000. How many people are going to stay and keep paying on a $500,000 house when they can go down the street and buy the same house for $350,000?
Yeah,
that's what helped them. That's what helped it collapse in 2008 because people were like, "Hell, I just paid $1 million for my house. It's $500,000 street. What am I paying on this thing for?"
And then they just left.
Well, you can create demand for a house by letting in more people into the country.
Well, when I was so versed in 2008, they were giving loans in 2006, 7, and 8 to people who had no Social Security cards. They had a loan program for it.
Gracias.
It's called a NINA, no income, no assets, no income, no doc loans. They were doing it 95% financing. So people tell you, I won't even get to what I do. I worked for a company that would buy defaulted mortgages, and they would buy tens of thousands of defaulted mortgages called NINAs and no income, no asset mortgages, and there was no Social Security numbers.
How
None.
have you looked into how many of those remain successful mortgages, like long term?
I haven't. I just know how many we bought. The company I worked for bought. I mean, tens of thousands, and
that would be
hundreds
interesting.
of millions. Well, scary isn't the word. I mean,
My brother did that.
Wait till you try to foreclose on a house
Where you don't know the guy.
where you don't know who owned it. You have a name, right? Whatever it is, Bob Johnson, far from it. No Social Security number.
So even if you go to the house, even if you send the sheriff to the house for an eviction, he can't guarantee who he's evicting anyway.
Guys, I'm pretty versed on foreclosure, and the average foreclosure in New York is over 4 years. 4 years to foreclose on a house. And if you have someone that fights you, I've seen foreclosures take 10 years.
Oh, man, that'd be...
What's it like
else.
in Utah?
Easy. Utah's pretty easy. You can get a foreclosure in 90 to 120 days, and eviction in 30 days. Utah's pretty solid. But if you do Miami-Dade County in Florida, the Tri-Counties, you do Kings County in New York, you do Nassau County, and I'm sure your listeners don't want to hear this, but if you got a fourplex, we all know what a 4-unit home is.
Uh-huh.
So in New York, they would go in 06, 07, 08, and banks would lend money on them with only 5% down, 5% money. So they put tenants in them. It's called a first payment default. They were doing it all day. They'd go in and buy $1 million property, put 4 tenants in it. They would get $3,000 to $4,000 a door in rent.
Uh-huh.
So that's $16,000 a month. Their mortgage was only $6,000 a month. They pocket the difference, and they would stop making payments immediately. First payment default. You'd have to file it, and then it took years because the owner of that note, after the bank sold it, because they couldn't go after it, after our company bought it, you have to try to evict all 4 people, and you'd have to honor the leases that were in place. So they had a 1-year lease. I couldn't kick the people out.
Oh, man.
My brother rented houses out in New York, and it was just disaster after disaster.
Well, I was thinking if you got that no Nina loans or whatever,
Yeah.
and just go and buy houses that are single level ranch styles or those Korean War era houses, and just put them up as rentals. You know, heck, you could make
Arizona. Remember Arizona, Nevada? They built thousands of homes. Guys would go in there and buy one after another, and after another, put a tenant in there and just sit on it.
Yeah.
But New York was terrible because then the owner of that fourplex would go sell his deed. He'd sell the deed to Jared. for cash. Well, then I had to not only foreclose on Dave, I then have to close on the guy that he sold the deed to. So I'd have to start my foreclosure all over again.
So he would sell the deed after you started a foreclosure on him.
Yep. And then Jared would go rent strip. It's called rent stripping. Then Jared, the tenants are obligated to pay the owner of the property, which is you now, Jared. So Jared would go every day and pick up the rents and tell his tenant, hey, don't talk to the bank, don't talk to anyone. And he'd keep collecting $16,000 a month and never pay his mortgage. So there was no recourse. The courts in New York, there's no recourse. They're very liberal. So you couldn't go to the courts. Hey, they're breaking the law. Dave bought it, first payment default, sold the deed to Jared. Jared's rent stripping. He just stole $160,000 this year, and the courts are like,
that's insane.
Foreclosure's ugly in some states, guys.
Oh, I'm sure.
Foreclosure, it's nasty.
I've got a crazy thought, and maybe this is inappropriate to bring up on here, but I remember, what was it? I don't know. 10, 15 years ago, all of the good looking young single ladies went and worked in pharmaceuticals, right? And then pharmaceuticals kind of went, and now they're just another arm of the government, or the government's another arm of them, however you mix that out. But about 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago, you noticed all of the good-looking single women went into real estate, and it just seems like that. It just seems like a I don't know if that has any tie-in, but be an interesting study to see the movement into that.
I don't know. I've been happily married for 21 years, so I don't even go down that route.
Or maybe as you get older, just women get better looking, Jared.
They all do. Yeah, that is true. Or,
in my business, though, I tell you, Alan, with that, in this matter is, it was such a stressful business. I actually had 2 heart attacks 3 years ago. So I had to get out of the business because I was in it so deep, and I had a heart attack. I had 2 stints. Then a year later, another heart attack. And I just had to get out of that defaulted mortgage space. It was very stressful and high paced business. It's a tough one.
Well, and it's also a business that's built on someone's failure.
Yeah.
It's called a scam.
That was built on, I tell you, that was a Fed's issue. I think the Feds created a lot of this because the Feds have to approve.
Hold on a second. You're telling me, let me do the what? The Feds did something? No. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So mortgage programs are approved by the Feds.
Yep.
So the NINAs, no income, no asset verification loans, they're all approved by the Feds.
Did those all come under like the HUD style loans or the?
Well, it's CFPB now, right? So the CFPB is the ruler of that now. They created that. So what happened was they did all those, and after it failed, everyone was like, because the mortgage-backed securities failed, and then you and your 401k, your money was behind the mortgage-backed securities, so you got mad at the guys that originated the loans. Well, we only sold what the Feds gave us to sell. I mean, that's like going after a Ford dealership because they put Firestone on your Explorer, but they didn't build the Firestone tire, right? Yeah. That was Firestone. But they still got mad at the Ford dealerships.
Nor did the dealership put the tire on.
Yeah.
That was a deal made higher up.
Yeah, same analogy. So the point is they got mad at all these agents that were selling the loans. It's like, hold on, I didn't grow the marijuana. I just kind of dispersed it, right?
Yeah.
So, so that's an interesting, what's going to happen is going to be very, very interesting.
Well, this should be a lesson in government intervention. And I know everyone's tired of me saying this, but the government only does one thing well, and that's turn gold into shit. That's all they've ever done. The government has no accountability mechanism to keep them in lockstep, to keep them in line. And so they're always and forever, the government is going to ruin everything it touches. The government in the 40s got into, restricting how much your pay increases could be. So then businesses looking for a way to get competitive employees started offering health insurance through their business. Well, here's where we are today. And you can tie that right back to FDR.
Yeah.
All of this, the government has zero successes on the ledger, not a one. I know Dave argues the OSHA, maybe, I don't know. That'd still be a pretty uneven ledger, but
Oh, the most successful thing the government did was create crazy glue.
create crazy glue. The government created that,
and they sold it.
yeah.
Yeah, my story I heard was they created it in Vietnam for the soldiers that got shot out in the field. They immediately put it on the wound to help save them, to take it back to triage. Right
Was
away.
it the government that created that, or some chemist somewhere created that and then sold it to the government with that idea?
Well, however, in the end, they just sold it to Whammo and walked away from it.
Yeah.
So they did create something kind of cool, and they walked away from it. But I need you guys to help educate me on this a little bit, because I thought of this last year. Someone told me, I'm like, I never thought of it after all my 57 years on this earth. It costs the same amount to create a $1 bill as it does a $100 bill.
Yeah.
Same amount of money.
Uh-huh.
But when they sell that money to our finance groups and stuff like that, do you ever think of how much money our government makes after they print that money?
Well, it's not just that. I mean, it goes beyond that.
When you say they, that's what really startles me is, who are they? I mean, do we really know?
Yeah, that's what kind of eats me up. I'm like, I didn't even think about that. I mean, man, the cost to create a dollar bill, let's just say it's $1. Well, it costs the same to make that $50 bill.
Well, right now, as it stands, our dollar is backed by a Navy. It should be called a naval-backed security. They took it off gold, but it's backed by a Navy now. The Navy keeps the world oceans free so that, well, I know they say it's oil-backed, but it's really naval-backed so that the oil can free flow throughout the world. You know, and then as a part of that, a part of a tax, most nations, when they used to buy oil, would buy it in our currency. But that's slowly starting to go away too, because we're omnipolarizing the world.
Yeah, I guess my thing is, if I have a $50 bill and I created it and I go lend it, my initial lend is to a bank.
Mm-hmm.
What is the bank paying for that $50 to the government initially?
Well, they're paying the note on the Navy. It's all it is a note. So it used to be, you know, I had 5 pieces of gold in a bank vault, and the bank would issue a note that said it was worth, you know, a sliver of a piece of gold, you know, whether it's the ounce or a full piece, whatever. The note declared that. So the note is really worthless. Its only value is in the trust in the note that currency's in there. Well, then FDR took us off the gold standard as a nation and confiscated everyone's gold. That's an interesting story, when the government comes and just steals your gold and then inflates it the next year. Anyways, and then in 71, Nixon took us off the global gold standard after France decided to sail a battleship into the New York harbor because they wanted their gold back. And then we went with the oil-based currency. Now, there was a little bit of gray area there while the different government entities worked out how the deal would work with Saudi Arabia and OPEC and all that. And then the deal was made. You know, they figured out the deal, they struck it, and then it became an oil-backed currency. But it's technically a Navy-backed currency. Our Navy is what it's what reflects our power and our reliability around the world.
Keeps the spice flowing.
Well, let's talk. Can we change gears on Utah? What's going on with us? I mean, what's what we've got in the works going on? Do you guys want to hear about that?
We sure do.
As I said, the rapid response team's growing. It's kind of cool. We vet everybody, but we've got we got some good things going on. I mean, that Brian Schott guy sure likes to beat us up, thinking we're some right-winged militia. I don't think he's learned the word what militia means, right? I'm not even a registered militia. We do a lot of good service in the community. You guys are aware we came out to Tooele and helped when the fire took place. We just do stuff like that. But we've got a couple of guys that are real preppers in our group. A lot of us have freeze dryers, the new Harvester freeze dryers. So we're freeze drying food and stuff like that. So we're going to start putting on once every 2 months, prepper training on how to do it and where to buy it and how to prepare food and get confident that you've got some food to last you 2, 3, 4 months, 6 months or a year. So we're going to start doing that. We've got one October 6th, a private one, and we've got a great trainer, Darren, who does it at Bosch as well. So this guy's a really smart guy. So I've got that going on. As you know, we work closely with Jen and Sophie. You had the red pills on recently. You got pretty educated on what they're doing. They're digging their heels in and getting the attention of Governor Cox and Henderson. And so they've got a couple events coming up. So I hope I can push that out to you guys. They're doing some really good things. They've been able to, I believe, stop the destruction of the records here in Utah.
Good.
So we're on that. They got some more lawsuits pending that are going on against Cox. I'm trying to get the program. I went to their program the other day. They actually have copies of text messages between between Henderson and Brian Schott. Did they tell you that? Lieutenant Governor Henderson reached out to Brian Schott, the reporter, talking about Jen and Sophie and the work they're doing. Why would Lieutenant Governor Henderson be talking to Brian Schott from the Tribune?
Well, it sounds like the lieutenant governor wants only allowed speech.
Yeah. So we've got copies of those text messages, which are just crazy. I'm just in awe of how corrupt Cox is, and the people up there, the gray heads and Utahns don't even know it. They don't even realize it, the base. They don't even understand it. And I'm sure you saw what Cox did the other day about his house. He put a wrought iron fence and what he's doing with the mansion downtown. Did you read that article?
No, I heard he fortified pretty heavily. Was that his private residence or his public mansion?
He's already done his residence out in Pleasanton or wherever. He put a wrought iron fence around it and spent a couple $100,000 of our tax dollars. Now he put a post in the Tribune that he is fortifying and making it a fortress downtown at the mansion down there. He's changing it. So he must think he's going to stay in office for quite some time.
Can all public officials fortify their houses with public tax dollars?
In Utah, it seems they can. Yeah, because there's no outcry. There's no outcry going on. They will get away. I mean, if someone keeps breaking into my house and I don't stop them, they'll keep breaking into my house.
Yep.
It's just the way it goes. If I don't discipline my kids and he keeps swearing, he's going to just keep swearing. So unless people stand up and go, stop, Cox, stop, Mitt Romney, you got enough. This stops when the people say it stops, but it just can't be a small gaggle of people. It's got to be the people.
Yeah. Well, such is life, I guess, with taxes.
What was the reason with Governor Cox's at his Pleasant Grove home getting that new, the new wrought iron fence put in?
From what I hear, someone drove out there, threatened him, and there was a gunshot somewhere.
Okay.
So he feels that a wrought iron fence might help stop the bullets, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. I'm wondering, we have a governor's mansion here in Utah, and I'm perfectly acceptable with spending taxpayer money on a governor's mansion. I am not acceptable with spending money on the domicile of a temporary government official.
You'll get used to it.
Look at Dave. Dave, you're sitting back going, get used to it. We shouldn't get used to it.
Actually, it helps me. It helps me when they do this because they have unfettered access to all of my fiat money that is, according to Blair, it's backed by something very special. But I did not spend any Bitcoin on Governor Cox's wall whatsoever. It's amazing how that works.
Sure, but you will spend your state tax on Governor Cox.
I'm just saying that Bitcoin
Fence.
stuff is something else. I don't know. It seems like it stays in my pocket.
Look, well, we could dig in more on the Bitcoin, but we beat that horse to death.
Yeah. So the other thing that's going on is our annual Christmas party's coming up, which is always big. It's our third annual, and we do a canned food drive for the Calvary Chapel in Salt Lake. They do a lot of good for the community. I think every week they feed 600-700 people. And so every year we do Guns and Santa. We have a full catered dinner, and people bring canned food, and we drop it off. We've have each year over 1,000 cans of dry goods and stuff we drop off to that church, and they do good things with it. So
that's pretty
that's
cool.
coming up as well.
Make sure you, if this stuff's open to the public, make sure you advertise that on the page here so people know.
I will. We do this, my wife and I. We don't make money doing what we do, right? We actually lose our own finances, but we just charge for things like this just for the catering. So if the catering costs me $12 a plate, it's just $12 to get in. That's what we do. And it's a ton of fun. We were sold out last year. We had politicians show up. We had really cool stuff. Guns and Santa went off great. And the food was great. We have a live band. Doug lives out by you. I forget Doug's last name. He Curbside Band. He's a good guy. Doug, he does 80s rock and roll. They come donate their time and they do a band there. So it's just a ton of fun.
Yeah, that does sound fun.
Well, the reason is, why we do it sometimes is the gratifying thing is for people to come say, thanks, Kish. We had nowhere to go for Christmas. We have a lot of people like that, right? Couples that have no family around or widows, widowers and stuff like that. So it's a great thing. We love to do it. We love the camaraderie and we love to do something special at Christmas, non-political, just come and hang out and have a good time.
Now the guns part, do you auction off guns or?
No, people come and I have a bunch of our guys, not that I have any guns, but guys bring guns and Santa comes and they get their picture with Santa. And
okay.
They drop a donation in there and that goes to Calvary Chapel and we do it that way.
I like it. Good. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We were going to do it. We did a security. We have a security team, but the pregnancy clinic in Salt Lake, we did one when they got a bomb threat when the Roe versus Wade got turned over. So we were down there doing security for several nights. But we were going to do it for them, but they can't house that much food. So I'm just giving you feedback. So if we get some donations of money or gift cards, they can have the gift cards. But canned food, their pantry won't house that much food. So some of it will go to them because they take care of single pregnant women through their term of pregnancy and stuff like that. So we try to give to a good cause like that as well.
Right. That's awesome, Kish. You guys are you're building a community. I mean, I hope people have an in and an opportunity to see you advertise these good gestures to the community and the services that you provide. And people should see that. And I hope more people want to take part in it and it keeps building.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And that's the problem with that stupid reporter. If he'd spend a moment of time and really see what we did, not in a bragging sense, but really see where our hearts are and what we want to do. We want to create a community. If we could eradicate people from suicide and depression and being down and out and stuff like that, that's our goal. I mean, I'll give you, for instance, one of our guys was doing his martial arts and he broke his foot the other day. 2 pins, 32 stitches, and it was terrible. You should see pictures of his foot. It's just nasty. Not the other day. This was a month ago. And we just reached out to him. I hadn't seen him. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, I'm still down and out. I said, do you need anything? He goes, yeah, no one's mowed my lawn. My lawn's a foot tall. So I just get on the phone with my group who can go out there today. A couple of us rolled out there. We mowed his lawn, pulled his weeds for an hour, and it was done. That's the kind of community we're trying to create. And I'm not telling you to brag. I'm just telling you what we're trying to do. We're trying to create to fill the gaps where other people aren't filling in.
Yeah. Well, that reporter It doesn't matter what you do. He has a political ideation that at this time demands that he pushes you to the outskirts. And us too, and anyone that doesn't align with him. And it's not the first time in history that we've seen this. Let's remember in the 60s, it was the conservative side that held down the fort, and it was the left side that fought for free speech and fought for that stuff. And I just wish he would remember that.
True, yeah. Well, when I get the flyers going, I'll make sure we give it out to you and your followers. We'd love to have people join and come out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Where can people reach out to you right now to sign up?
They go to the website, utahpatriots.com, and right on there, you click a button and they can email me. And it comes directly to an inbox that's monitored, so they can always reach out that way. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, utahpatriots.com. It's easy to reach out. I'm very responsive, and we've got people that watch it. And if someone wants to get involved in the rapid response team, it's a small vetting process. It doesn't cost money. We just want to make sure that whoever joins has my back, and I've got their back. We do tactical training. So we're out there, once a month out training with weapons and guns and learning things like that. And last month we brought moms and kids and family members, and my older boy came and he broke down an AR all the way to the bits, put it back together, a Glock. He did that. So we're trying to get people familiar with guns and weapons and training and being in your house and how to defend yourself and just how to walk around, how to carry a gun and not be scared, things like that. We're trying to get people familiarized with life and food storage and all those things, just everything, right? That's what we're trying to do.
And let's remember, I think it's the building of a group, regardless of whether you're going into it with the proactive action in mind, or if you're passive action. I mean, helping your buddy mow his lawn, that's an outstanding thing, Get to know your neighbors, have block parties.
Sometimes you need a friend, and sometimes they're hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just we just don't help people within the rapid response team. If they hear that someone needs something outside or something like that, we want to be there for those people if we can, right? That's what I didn't know anyone at Tooele when the fire broke out. We just knew there was a need, right? So if we have the capacity, we're going to try to get out and do that. It's the least we could do for our fellow man. And I think everyone needs to have that mentality.
And if I may, for a minute, pose the opposing side. Shouldn't we let the government deal with everything?
Fuck.
They going to cook for me tonight? Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, they would if you want, I'm sure that our good county sheriff here has a fine mill going on just south of us in that
county prison.
In the county prison. And
I would like to see what the food looks like there. Wouldn't you?
I imagine it's
I'm thinking a field trip.
I would almost bet it's better than school food.
I think we got a show topic.
That's a good show.
Hey, the next topic we should talk about sometime, I know I've got to cut this off, is whoever's in Salt Lake County is there's a new sheriff in town that's running, Nick Roberts, and he's an incredibly great guy and he's going to fill a great void of what we need in Salt Lake, we feel. And I promote him because he's a good guy, and the sheriff's department needs a change. They need to be revamped. The sheriffs need to go in a position that can give them power for the people to go to. Right now, they don't have that, right? My understanding, you've got the police department and the sheriffs in Salt Lake County are kind of on a level playing field. So when us as a public have a problem and we have to go to the police, it gets pushed to Mayor Mendenhall, who's a miscreant, right? She can't help anyone. So the sheriff's not getting the power they need to arrest people, investigate things, do things. And Nick Roberts wants to change that. He really does. So if anyone's interested in who's running for sheriff, at least look at him and go to his website and see what he's about.
All right. Maybe we should try to reach out, see if he'll come on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, guys? When I say I'm friends with him, I'll get him on. Let's do a show. You give me a date, and I'll bring Nick on your show.
Sounds
All
like
right.
a plan.
Let's do it. Yeah. Get with Dave and we'll get a date on that. And
Yeah, I'd
Run
love
it
to
down.
have him on. He's a great guy. I'd love to. We do a lot for him. We did a big yesterday. We decided just to help him out. We went on Redwood Road. We put 50 banners out and flags, and we stood there for 2 hours with Nick Roberts signs as 1,000 cars drove by, just to get a message out. Because when people vote, they go down for governor and lieutenant governor. By the time they get to the sheriff, they're like, well, I don't know whose name looks cool, right? Or I saw their signs around. Nobody really
Mhm.
investigates what sheriff they want,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's wrong. We need to get word out on what the problem is in the sheriff's department and get people to educate themselves.
Yeah. And the sheriff is, in my humble opinion, the most important vote you make.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely an important one.
All right. Well, if, what's that reporter's name? Brian, if you're watching tonight, I hope you have a wonderful night and a wonderful weekend and, and all of your dreams come true. But Kish, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Definitely,
too nice
Kish.
to Brian Schott, man.
You know what? I recognize that he is just playing the role that, that the conservatives played in the 60s, where they were trying to keep the beatniks out and then the hippies out, when the hippies, for most of the time, not most of the time, they had a lot of degenerate ideas, but they also did, remember, they're the ones that marched in Berkeley for free speech because the powers that were in control wanted to hold down their speech. And now those same guys are in charge and they want to hold down the other side's speech. And where the conservatives are going to be in charge in 10 years, and mark my words, it's going to happen again. It's just, it's that pendulum keeps swinging. Everyone asks for rights and liberties when they're weak and try to withhold them when they're strong. Everyone does.
Well, I appreciate you guys always having me on. It's always great talking to you. I like to sharpen it's like steel sharpens steel, right? So sometimes I like talking to the minds. You guys have great minds and throwing things around. I love the ideas and stuff. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Let's run through some real quick messages real quick. We're going to breeze through. Hi, Jackson. All right. James said everyone forgot Canada. Google search what happened to the truckers, all fined, jailed. Yeah, Canada was crazy, and they went after, what's that new alpha male dude on the internet they just went after?
The pillow guy?
No, there's a guy that was
Mike Lindell.
no, not Mike Lindell, the non-political guy, lives in like Romania or something. But they went after him and they shut down every avenue that he had. They shut down his Pinterest and Facebook and YouTube and his Patreon, and
There's another supporter for Bitcoin for me.
they just went after all of it. They just shut it all down. And and it's crazy. But how does he get income with his Bitcoin when those are his avenues for income?
You can sell it to me.
Dave's got the answers, man.
Yeah, Dave's answer for everything is Bitcoin. I'm telling you, if one day he goes in and takes a leak and it burns, he's going to buy Bitcoin. Blair says, my dilemma with Bitcoin, let me mine something out of thin air and let me sell it to you, something for nothing. Ponzi schemes work that way. Bitcoin, I'm a supporter of Bitcoin. It has a lot more backing than our fiat currency system. One day I should really
Go ahead and try to mine it, Blair. I want to watch.
I should do a really hardcore show on how money is generated in the United States. Bitcoin, when you mine it, you're spending the calories on the electricity and the piece of equipment that does the mining. We'll just say
It's not free.
We'll just say for right now, it's super expensive to get into mining, but we'll just say it is an extremely hard mathematical problem for your computer to solve. We'll put it in those terms, and your computer solves it after a period of time. the better your computer, the better it solves, like the sharper your pick. You can set a regular computer up to mine and you might get a coin. What would an average computer get? Maybe a coin in 5 years right now?
Oh, God, no. It would never get a coin.
You don't think it'd ever get it? Okay. But that's where we're at. So there is a cost. It's called mining for short term. And yes, the solution at the end doesn't really produce anything, but it's just the effort. Right now, you go in and get a loan. Money just got popped into existence at your local credit union. And that's just something to reflect on for tonight. Reed says, Kish, we need to get David and Jared out to the range one of these weekends. Yes,
That would be fun.
I'm heading out to a tactical shooting course tomorrow with our Republican County seat. That goes on tomorrow and Sunday. It's going to be a tactical pistol course, so that'll be fun.
I will. We're going out tomorrow. We have ours tomorrow too, but I'll text Dave the next one we're going to, and you can
Perfect.
come hang out with us.
Yeah, I'd
Definitely.
love to go shooting. Katie says, I've heard Bitcoin described as Lulu Row for men.
She thought it was funny. Good for her.
Yeah, no, I want in on the joke. What's Lulu Row?
Next, I don't know.
Katie, you need to educate me on what Lulu Row is.
I never heard that one.
All right, Stevie says, is that Range Master Nick from UPD? Yes, it is. All right. Oh, Jackson says, Andrew Tate. That's the guy's name that got deleted off everything. All in like overnight, like it was planned. So
I bet you they do. They probably team up on people.
how scary is that? I mean, look at how they went after Alex Jones, and it's only going to get worse.
Mhm.
Right now, you're seeing these fringe guys get knocked down. These guys that, but
There
eventually-
are alternatives out there, such as Gab and Gab Pay and systems like that. But people just, I don't know, for some reason they don't flock to these new systems, and they kind of just override them.
No, it was Parlor got torn down.
Parler got torn down, but Gab survived because Gab did not utilize the App Store and did not
Is
utilize
Gab
the
allowed
Amazon
on the
Cloud.
App Store?
Gab has a different way you have to get their app. It's
So-
not on the store,
That's where we run into issues.
but you can get it.
Sure, you can, just like
And you can't shut Gab down because they didn't do the system design like Parler did.
Sure. Also, Stripe went after him. You guys know what Stripe is?
That's another payment system.
That's the one that processes the credit card. Like when you go into 7-Eleven, there's like a 1 in 3 chance that's processed through Stripe.
Mm.
So that's 1/3 of the market taken away from you. So I don't know. It's just scary like that. But hey, let's just keep going down this censorship road. Eventually it will come for your friends too.
I will. Look at what's going on with Visa now. Visa wants to track your gun purchases.
Oh yeah.
So. it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I can buy it with Bitcoin, right?
Sure.
Yeah, you probably can.
You probably can. They just, Jordan Tesher, he's a politician here. He just did something with something in Utah where you can pay your bills with, it's the farmers out in the other counties paying their bills. They now can use Bitcoin. Did you hear about that? That's an interesting thing. Jordan Tesher did something really good because some of these farmers.
Is it paying like government bills with Bitcoin?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I shouldn't even speak about it, but we should look into that because it's very interesting what Jordan Tesher did.
That's the ticket. If Bitcoin becomes a usable currency, I'm swapping over to it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like completely.
Yeah,
I won't have any greenbacks left.
All right, gentlemen. I really appreciate it. Got
Kish.
some obligations here.
Thanks for coming on, man.
You have a good one, man.
Dave, reach back out to me. Thank you.
We'll do, buddy.
Yep.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.